Hey gang, today I'm going to do something that's probably my most requested solo, and that is the solo to Hotel California by the Eagles. Now of course I can't do it verbatim because it would be taken down right away. However, what I'm going to do is the next best thing. I'm going to do it in the style of Hotel California and over the chord changes, which are very, very similar. And that way you'll be able to learn the actual solo very easily, and you'll be able to understand everything that's going on. Even better, now you'll have two examples, so you'll be able to craft your own solo that'll work great over it. Now today we're going to do one in the style of Don Felder, but if you like this, make sure you let me know in the comments that you'd like the Joe Walsh style as well, and then we can do that later. Hey, if you're new to the channel, or if you're a veteran viewer, make sure you click the like button, subscribe, and click that bell. All right, let's get going with the lesson. First I'm going to do a demo, then I'm going to break it down, but make sure you stay to the end for some theory and some pro tips on sounding like Don Felder. All right, well, let's start out by doing a slow-mo demo, then we'll do the note for note, and remember at the end we're going to do the theory and how to sound like Don Felder. All right, let's go over this now note for note. First thing that you can do is you can download the tab from the link below. It says get the tab in the description of the video. Click on that and you'll be able to get the tab. Now as we're going through this, I like to think of these in chord pairs. So each line is going to be over a chord pair, starting on one chord, ending on a chord. And I think Don Felder probably crafted his solo more or less along those lines as well. In either event, I think it'll work out pretty well as we're doing it. So here's line one. It goes between the B minor and the F sharp major. So here's the first chord. The first chord is a B minor, and in fact this first line is really a B minor triad, and then we're going to do a 1.5 step bend on the B string 12th all the way up to the B string 15th. Okay, and then we're coming down to this F sharp. So I want you to pay attention to this. Here's an F sharp triad right here, and we're going. This right here is the third of F sharp, so I'm ending the line on the third of F sharp, and this bend right here is on the fifth of F sharp. Okay, the second line goes from an A to an E major. Okay, the key thing to this one I think is this bend. This note right here is a G sharp on the B string 10th fret. I'm sorry, 9th fret. That's a G sharp. So the key thing is that G sharp is the third of E major. And in fact, here's our E major triad. and we're ending up on that. All right, our third line is going to go from a G major to a D. Let's check it out. Here's our third line. So this beginning part we can think of as two triads here. Here's our G major triad. In fact, on the B string, 8th fret is our G, and that's going to be a key note. That's where we're going to end at the halfway mark of this line. See right there, ending on the chord tone, on the root of the chord. And then over the D, we're going to play this country-ish lick. And again, ending up on the G string, 7th fret, which is a D, the root of the chord. Now this line right here is kind of a tough line, so make sure you give yourself time to practice. It's hard to hold this note. You've got to bend on the 3rd string, or on the G string 9th. We're going to bend that up a whole step. And just hold it, and I'm reaching out with my pinky, and then playing with my first finger on the 7th. So I'm playing 10 to 7 on the 1st string. So I'm skipping a string there. Coming down to the 2nd string, 10th. So that's a country lick. Practiced it. You really have to arch your fingers to not muff those notes. All right, here is the 4th and final line. We're going from the E minor to the F sharp. Okay, this is going to follow E minor triad right there, which is very similar to a G major triad, right? E minor and G major kind of being equivalent keys. Okay, so here we go. Here's the line. This last note, the 11th on the 3rd string, happens to be an F sharp, right? Here's a G, here's an F sharp, here's an F. So I'm just bending to this note. What could be simpler than to play the root over a chord? Okay, let's just talk a little bit of theory now. Let's start with the chords, okay? Well, the chords are B minor, F sharp major, A major, E major, G major, D major, E minor, and F sharp major. All right, well, let's just play a game. I like to play it. I'm guessing you're a guitar player. You like to play it as well, and that is, what's the key? Now, if you play that game, you're going to find out that the key doesn't stay the same throughout the whole progression. Or another way of thinking of it is that there's a couple of oddball chords. So let's start out with the most obvious choice, which is B minor. Why? Because it's the first chord. I swear, if you do that, more often than not, you'll be right. It turns out B minor is not a bad way of thinking about this. We'll think about this as the key of B minor, but there are two chords that we have to handle a little bit more carefully because they're not harmonized in the key of B minor. Now, B minor is the equivalent key to D major. Both B minor and D major have the same number of sharps, namely 2 sharps. So all of these chords, except for 2 of them, fit in the key of B minor. B minor, that's fine. A major, that's fine. G major, that's fine. F sharp. Usually that F sharp is going to be an F sharp minor in the key of D. So that's an oddball chord, and we'll have to handle that. And we've got E major, also an oddball chord in the key of D major. E is usually a minor chord. And then the rest of the chords, we've got E minor, G major, and D major. Obviously, D major is in the key of D major. So the two oddball chords are F sharp and E major. So here's just a simple way of thinking about this. You're going to play B minor, except over those chords, you're going to play the third of those chords. Over the F sharp, you're going to play the third of F sharp, which is A sharp. Why? So why the third? Well, because normally it would be a minor. And so if we play the third, we're emphasizing, yes, this is indeed a major. We know what the heck we're doing. Hopefully that makes some sense. You'll hear Don Felder play exactly that third, and it just sounds great. Same thing over the E major. I'm going to show you those two lines really quickly, just so you'll get what's going on. Let's just cover that really quickly. Okay, here's the first line that goes from B minor to F sharp major. And you'll see it ends up on the third, which is A sharp. That's the third of F sharp. Here we go. There it is right there. Don Felder does the same thing. He ends up on the third. Let's talk about the one that goes from A, the second line, A major to E major. Here's what I played. This note right here, G sharp, that happens to be the third of E major. How do I know that? Here is my E major triad, and there's G sharp right on the top, B string, 9th fret. Great. So play B minor, except over F sharp, then you play the third, or you can play any chord tone in the F sharp chord. It's going to sound great. And over that E chord, make sure that you play a chord tone over that E chord. But there's one other secret that I want to share with you, and it does reveal itself when you play triads. I'm going to show you. There's a key line that you can just think of. I played the chords like this, etc. And you didn't hear that line, but watch when I play the chords as triads, you'll hear it, and it's very clear. Okay, I'm going to play the same chord sequence, but here I'm going to play it as triads on the 4, 3, and 2 strings. So here's my B minor. Here's F sharp major, A major, E major, G major, D major, and then E minor and F sharp minor. Okay, so the line is simply this. That takes us all the way to our D major. I believe that has a lot to do with why this song is so compelling, is because it's just a simple voice leading that goes down and then just a little bit back up over the last 2 chords. But really cool stuff. Let's take a look at how you can make this maybe a little Don Felder-ish. Now, we already talked about using those triads and thinking about lines that end on the second chord, right? Think of this as a 2-chord sequence as you're building this solo. What else can you do to make it sound like Don Felder? Well, to me, 2 things really stick out for Don Felder. A very controlled bending. So that's the first thing. So when he plays, that bend has got to be exactly 1.5 steps to be Don Felder-ish. Now, he's a master at it. I don't claim to be a master at all, but I was trying, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing I think that really can help is don't add a lot of vibrato. If you listen to Joe Walsh's play, which is much more aggressive, Joe Walsh is adding a lot of vibrato, double stops, and stuff like that. But if you listen to Felder, he doesn't play, nothing like that. And you don't hear him playing that, a lot of wide vibrato. He's very controlled and just a little vibrato. So give that a shot. All right, well, there you go, gang. A solo in the style of Don Felder's solo to Hotel California. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please give it the like button. If you haven't yet, subscribe and click that bell. And yeah, Let me know if you like this, and we'll do a second one in the style of Joe Walsh's solo. I enjoyed making this. I hope you enjoyed it too. We will see you down the road.